Hey friends, I have something super unique, and this is the JIESTAR inverted bookstore. And it is JIESTAR's set number 89130, and it has 3,621 pieces. In this video, we are going to look at all sides, and then we're going to take this thing apart because it's a full modular. The floors come apart. The front half here comes apart. It has lights, so we'll look at those lights. It has a full interior. It is one of the most bizarre but absolutely thrilling things I had to build recently. Super, super fun. And in this video, we'll take a look at if it is minifigures compatible. We'll do all of those things, so let's get started. All right, so first thing I want to do is shut off the lights. Okay, so here is what it looks like with no lights on in the room and just the two light kits that it comes with. And they are the like 2x4 style lights, bricks, but with the batteries built in that have the strings that come off of it. And those strings have the 1x4 LEDs on them. So you can see it provides quite a bit of light throughout the build. And every window is lit up, and we'll see in a moment that there's a full roof as well. But I really love this giant window out in the front. So what are we looking at here? Basically, it is an upside down house, right? So here's the instruction manual, and just imagine this like that, right? So it's an upside down house, with the picket fence, a garden, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff happening, a foundation here, maybe a crawl space underneath with the roof, but it's completely built upside down and they've committed to it. So we'll see that in the interior. When you go into the interior is right side up, and they thought about how a minifigure would approach this from the street. There's bicycle parking we'll take a closer look at. There's stairs. There's a way to get in for the entry. And then on the interior, there's stairs, all logically based so that you could move around this space if you were a minifigure. The thing that's upside down is the main structure. But you know what is really interesting? All the utilities, the signage, they are right side up. So the signage hangs down the way that it should. There are utility pipes for draining from the roof. There's another utility pipe that comes down all the way from the roof. There is an HVAC unit in here. There's a facility box that makes use of this chimney. It's a non-functioning chimney, but it becomes part of the foundation of this. And then they've got a couple of benches hidden under here, and then some additional supports that are actually not really needed. Well, I guess they are kind of needed. And then they've got some botanical things there too. All right, so let's take a closer look. Let's zoom in. I'm going to turn on some of the lights. All right, so starting here on the ground floor are the bikes that I mentioned, and it has a lamp here, a fire hydrant. Now these bikes, unfortunately, they are a little strange, like they're missing the black. Normally, I think Lego has dual molded bikes with black here. And for some reason, these are molded with the handlebars sideways. So you couldn't actually, it's just weird. They should actually be straight. Maybe there's a license and they couldn't copy them exactly. So that's what's going on. But you get 3 of these bikes. You get a little brick built bike rack. There is a little garden down here, and you'll notice that the chimney of the building is actually part of the foundation, and there's a hose coming from the chimney out to the HVAC system. So this might be like a mini split, like maybe this is, I think it's called the heat exchanger. I'm not 100% sure, but it's kind of cool that they put that in there and they made it make sense. That's what's going on here. Even though this is absolutely absurd, they try to make some things make sense. Some cool tile work here. A lot of the sand blue and the light bluish gray. Like I pointed out before, you've got this drainage system that connects up to the roof. Around here on the bottom, there is more of a garden behind here again, and 2 benches that you can sit in, and pillars that I think these are structural actually. If you were to press down on some of the floors and if these were not here, it would be a problem. So those pillars are important for the build. Nice little tree build here. The tree is not fragile. They did a good job with this tree. It's robust. It's not going anywhere. You can tap on it, no problem. All right, and that brings us to the stairs, right? So you'll see that it has this upside down roof look to it. At first, I thought maybe it was an open book when I first saw this picture. It's not an open book. It kind of looks like that, but it's actually just a roof. And this is the underside of that roof, and it's got a handrail and railing all the way around. So you could have a minifigure walk up the stairs, and they have studs so that the minifigure could be positioned in there, so you could stand there as they're walking up into the first floor. So the first floor is actually right here. This is the door for the first floor. The door has a light sconce on the outside of it. The door opens outwards like this. The roof is slightly in the way there. There we go. So you can open it up like that. Now, I wish the door opened inward. I think that would make a little bit more sense for for this, but I don't know, maybe doors open outwards for a store, but open inwards for a house. But the other problem is that the sconce here is in the way. Um, I saw that recently on a Rio Bricks build where they put the sconce in the wrong place. And so, yeah, this should probably go somewhere else. It would have been better right there, I think. And then it wouldn't be in the way of that door. So that's a little bit strange. So let's close that back up. And then you'll see some of the windows. And I wanted to point out that they did a really good job with the windows. The windows are all offset by half a stud. So you get a little bit of a ledge on the top, a ledge on the bottom, and then the window is set in by half a stud. And all the windows that you see here are like that. So let's go up a little bit. You'll see here on the second floor, same thing with those windows, really well done. I like the details on every corner here. We've also got a sign. It says book. I wish it said books plural, so that it would feel a little bit more like a bookstore. We've got another sconce right there. You get a peek there on the interior as well. I really love this huge set of windows. They're probably about 2 stories tall on the inside, and they are also a half stud offset coming outwards. So you can see they're half stud out. Over here it's a half stud out, and they've done the right thing and put trim around it. So it's almost like they thought about water intrusion and proper architectural design for how windows should go. So I like that. More of those gutters there, and then this really nice olive green being used here with these little extra features along each corner. And more windows you saw before, and then of course more of these roof pieces so that you can kind of see what's happening there. Right there you can see there's this yellow picket fence that runs along here, and they've got flowers growing upside down, and they chose to use this like trans green for the flowers, maybe to just say, hey, like, hey, we know these are not real flowers, because they've used normal green for the garden area down here, and then up here they've used transparent green. So it's almost like a wink to say, hey, we know these are not real flowers because you can't grow flowers upside down. Okay, so from here you can see that the foundation, or now we're looking at the roof, also has a brick-built book sign. Again, I wish they had an S at the very end of it. It would be a little bit more of a realistic sign. They did a good job with this detail along the base here. I mean, you can kind of see that working as the base of a building, the foundation for it. I think they did a nice job there. And then, of course, these are perfect railings. If you look at this again upside down, you can almost see this as a foundation upside down there. So pretty cool, nicely done there. And let's take a closer look at the roof and what's up here. Let's go a little bit higher. Okay, so up at the roof, you've got a couple of shrubs, a lot of plants. Again, a little bit more of a garden or garden boxes. You've got a nice umbrella, table, 2 chairs, and you've got like a larger outdoor seating here, like a sofa. And then you've got an entry area as well, or a way to come up here from the inside. And there are stairs right there too. Now you probably have noticed this battery box for the lights, and you turn that on and off right there. And the wire comes down and goes right through this door. And my feeling is that this entire light kit, and there's two of these boxes, by the way, I think the light kits were definitely an afterthought. They just jerry rigged this in here. Whoever was the original designer, I'm sure, is mortified that this is the solution they came up with for the wiring for the lights. It doesn't pass through in any way, so that means you can't close this either. And it's blocking this chair, and so it's in this weird spot. And that's where they tell you to put it, right there like that. They didn't try to integrate it into the building, nothing. No effort was made on that, except for on the other side, you can see where the lights go. The other light battery box is even worse than this one. So let's pull this top off. And there it goes, and there are the lights for it. And I'm gonna just shut them off so you can see kind of how much light they give, right? So it's plenty of light when the room lights are kind of dim. All right, so with that off, we're now looking at this is actually the second floor. So we'll start with those stairs, right? Those stairs are the ones that come from the roof and they come down, handrail, a poster with a bridge on it, and then this nice detail right here where you can walk underneath, get into this little nook. And remember, this is a bookstore, so it's plenty of books, a lot of bookshelves that they've put in here, and it's decorated with plants. There's a envelope there on this table, and a lot of little seating that are really cozy little spaces. So that's one of those cozy spaces where you can sit. I like that. And you can see here that there's something under the stairs. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's a book. It's a very strange build for a book if it is. Along this corner here, we have a big vessel that has some plants in it. And then we've got some of your bookcases with the books that they're selling. And this one here says philosophy, this says social science, this one says natural science, and you've got stacks of papers and things as well next to it, just in case, maybe that's what people are doing when they're shopping. These are very interesting bookshelves, lots of variation in the books, some gaps. They've intentionally made some that have gaps, like that light blue to this yellow here, which I think are interesting. And then they've got sconces. You can see there, 1, 2 sconces. They're not lit. I wish those were the things that were lit. That would have been clever. So now let's look over here in this corner. You can see that in this corner, there are 2 more sofas. So these are armchairs, actually. So one brick-built armchair, which are pretty well done, actually. Another one back there, and a cup and a small table. Let's pull out one of these armchairs. You can see it a little bit better. So a nice build. Not bad at all. It's makes sense all the way around. Now here's the thing about the light battery on this one. So this floor, there is another light battery brick, and you can turn it on and off. And this is where they tell you to put it, right here. That's where you're supposed to put it. So it blocks minifigure access to those armchairs, and it just sits there. It's, again, a horrendous position for it, a horrendous place to put it. There's so much thought and detail put into this, and yet with the light brick, that's where they chose to put it. That's where they tell you to put it. I came up with slightly better place, which is to just kind of lean it up against the wall right there. And again, it would have been so much better if they had integrated it maybe up here into it. You can see here there's actually a little gap right there with this tile. And so that's one of the things with the JIESTAR that I noticed, is that the bricks are a little bit hard to push together. So you got to really finesse them. They're over clutched, which is really common for these alternative brands. Since we're talking about the parts, I'll mention that the parts come in micro bags. So you get like a lot of bag ones, and the bag 1-1, you open that first, and that's all you need to start building the first step. And you can use bag 1-1 for several steps. And then when you're done with 1-1, you open 1-2. And there's only like a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of parts per micro bag. So I really appreciate that they did that. It made it so much more smooth and so much easier to build this model because you weren't opening so many pieces at the same time. All right, one more light fixture up in here, and you can kind of see what the interior looks like from the point of view of the inside here. And this entire thing actually comes out. Here's the back, what it looks like. Oh, there is a couple of prints along the top or along the wall. As you're walking up the stairs, you can see these. And I like these little ledges that they put. So it looks as though these things are resting against these ledges. That's a really nice touch. Let's put that to the side. All right, so now we can see a little bit more of that interior, right? So we can see the stairs, we can see the railing. They've thought about all of those things for safety, right? So it's quite realistic. Railing all along the side here, railing all the way down. They've left the studs in there so that you can have a figure posed, which I really like too. We can now take off this section too. So I'm going to pull this off. So this floor comes off just like that. You can see the lights are on the other underside. I'm going to shut those lights off. There we go. Let's put that to the side. Okay, so now we're looking at what is essentially the first floor. So let's see if we can get a better look into this. So it has a bookshelf in the back there, a wide one, really big one. And then it has a like rotating book rack, so it moves slightly. The stairs are in the way though. By the way, all the pieces that you see here that they're decorations, they're all printed, which I appreciate. Again, something under the stairs, I'm not 100% sure what it is. And then along this wall here is the cash register. So there's something on the counter. It says Financial Times Magical. That's actually what it says. Here, we'll pull that off there. It says Financial Times Magical. So I have no idea what you could be reading that would have those two topics on the front cover. Here is the cash register. We'll pull the monitor off so you can see the register there. It says mango ×1. It's 15 yen. So I think this must have been repurposed from something else. I'm guessing a grocery store or something else that JIESTAR makes. You can see the tiles. You've got this kind of poop brown and then the darker gray, and that's what you're alternating on the inside. Speaking of poop, let's take a look at what's inside this door right here, right? So there is a door, you open it up, and it is one of the nicest bathrooms I've seen in a while. So I'm going to tilt this up. Check this out. It has a couple of things stored up on this shelf. It's got a cabinet. It's got another cabinet that opens above a toilet. So the toilet has a lid. It has a seat with a ring on it. It's got water. It's got a bowl. And I don't think I've ever seen such an elaborate toilet. My wife saw this and she was thrilled until she realized she couldn't move the seat. So she was kind of bummed about that. We've got a roll of toilet paper that is hanging the correct way, which is from the top down. You've got some, I think these must be towels. So you've got a paper towel there, or maybe it's a fabric or cloth towel, and then maybe these are the restock above. You got a window, and you have a sink. So we can see that there is a sink. It's got a white, it's a nicely designed sink actually, and maybe this is, I don't know what this might be. Maybe this is soap. Maybe this is something else down here. So nicely designed bathroom. I think they did a good job. I know it's weird to spend that much time in the bathroom. Oh, and there's even additional cubbies. So there's a cubby right here under the cabinet and a cubby along the side there that they took the time to do. Let me see if there's anything on the opposite wall. No, it's all kind of plain on the inside there. All right, and this is a chance to kind of look at you know, just how these pieces are put together for the underside of these roof areas. Really well done. And there's some interesting things that they did. For example, they have these 1x1 tiles, circular tiles, that help kind of key these pieces into place so that you have them at the right angle. So there's that one there that does it. Oh, we lost our bikes. Goodbye, bikes. All right, and then here is a little Technic ball piece, and that also helps guide where this piece needs to be so that you don't have it at the wrong angle. I appreciate that. And they have one more thing that I wish was a little bit better is you can see that there is a pretty significant gap right here versus the other side, which has no gap. And I think what's happening here is that this entire piece is a little bit loose. So that could have been fixed if they just added one more brick to the top of this HVAC unit. So if they just did one more brick right there or just extended it out with one of those pieces that have the little ledge on the end of it, I think it would have just done just enough to push it up like that. And then it would have taken up that gap and it would have been perfect. All right, but that is a minor nitpick. And let's put this thing back together. Okay, so we said we talked about whether this is minifigure scale, and by now I think you've guessed they did make this minifigure scale. It makes sense as you're moving through it. You can have the figures move through it, the doors are the right size, and the interior is really generous and luxurious for a minifigure. You've got the bikes that are probably minifig compatible. These little benches are compatible. You can place them in here. You can place them on the inside. The stairs are wide enough. And then you can put them up on the roof. There are chairs that make sense for them. So it's a really nice piece. I think if you had this in your city, it would be a showstopper. People would flip out if they saw this in your city layout. It is just amazing. I don't know why more people haven't been talking about this particular set. I think it's fantastic. It comes on a base plate with no studs on the bottom. So it's a 32 stud by 32 stud. So it'll fit right into a city. And it does overhang slightly because of this lamppost. You can place it right up against other modulars for the most part, and it already has this built-in sidewalk, things like that. I think it'll fit into your city really well. And if you're clever, you can figure out how to replace this wiring with other LED wiring that's maybe USB powered, and that'll make your life a little bit easier. And then if you want to go all out, you can change this to say books, plural, instead of just book singular, what kind of bugs me. All right, but yeah, this is just an amazing set. I recommend it for sure. JIESTAR did a great job here. I'm impressed with the design. All right, and if you want to buy it, I do have an affiliate link in the description and the pinned comment. And it's a reasonable price for over 3,600 pieces. Check it out. It helps out the channel. I get a tiny percentage from it if you were to purchase through that affiliate link. Alrighty, so there you go. I hope you saw everything you wanted to see on this. Like the video if you like it. Hit subscribe if you haven't done that. All right, thanks so much.